We're all told the same story. You have to build your brand, find your audience, and make your mark. You have to be somebody. But what if that's a trap? What if the greatest freedom, the most authentic power you will ever find, lies in the exact opposite direction? The ultimate superpower in our noisy, performative world isn't being known by everyone. It's the profound, quiet freedom that comes from being a nobody. The ability to live a life that isn't a performance, where your actions are your own and your worth is not measured in views or follows. It's exhausting, isn't it? This constant pressure to curate a life worth watching. Every breakfast can be a post. Every thought can be a tweet. Every vacation is a potential highlight reel. We've become the unpaid curators of our own personal museums, carefully selecting which parts of ourselves to put on display and which to hide away in storage. This persona, this personal brand, starts as a tool but quickly becomes a prison. It has its own rules, its own expectations. You have to be consistent. You have to stay on brand. You said you love that one thing, so you have to keep loving it. You projected an image of success, so you can't dare to show the struggle. And here's the crazy part. We do this even when our audience is just a few dozen friends. The performance becomes a habit. This is the fundamental problem with outsourcing your identity. The image you project becomes your master. You start making choices not based on what you genuinely want, but on what will play well with your audience. You read the book that will look good on your shelf, you take the photo that will get the most likes. Your life slowly shifts from something you live to something you document, and your self-worth gets tangled up in the reception. Good engagement means you're good. Silence means you're failing. It's a fragile foundation to build a life on, and it leaves you constantly anxious, constantly performing. Now, imagine you wiped the slate clean. Imagine you had no online persona to maintain, no audience to please, no image to uphold. What would you do with that freedom? This is the superpower of being a nobody. When no one is watching, you are finally free to be truly you. You can be messy, you can be inconsistent, you can change your mind. You can try a new hobby and be terrible at it without the slightest bit of shame, because you're not doing it for a progress post. You're doing it for the joy of the attempt. Anonymity gives you a sacred space to grow. Think of it like a sandbox. When you're building a brand, every move is permanent, like building with stone. But as a nobody, you can play in the sand. You can build something, knock it down, and build something new tomorrow. And the only person who needs to know is you. This is where true exploration happens. You read the weird, obscure book that sparked your curiosity. You listen to music you'd be embarrassed to admit you like. You wander through your own city like a tourist, seeing things not as a backdrop for a photo, but as they actually are. You strip away the question, what will people think of this? And you're left with a much more powerful one. What does this mean to me? Acting without an audience is the ultimate act of self-discovery. So how do we connect this to our everyday life? This isn't about deleting all your accounts and moving to a cabin unless you want to. It's an internal shift. It's the transition from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation. It's about consciously choosing to do things for the inherent value they hold for you. You go for a run not to track it on an app and share it, but for the feeling of your lungs burning and the world waking up around you. You cook a beautiful meal not for the picture, but for the nourishment and the meditative act of creation. You have a deep conversation with a friend not to recount it later, but to be fully present in that moment of connection. This is the next step beyond the lone wolf. The lone wolf learns to be at peace without the pack. The nobody learns to thrive without an audience. The peace is no longer just about being alone, it's about being unseen and finding that to be a source of strength rather than a source of fear. When you live an uncurated life, your self-worth solidifies. It's no longer a fluctuating stock price based on public opinion. It becomes a deep, quiet certainty rooted in your actions, your values, and your private experiences. You become the sole, trusted judge of your own life, and that is a kind of freedom that no amount of fame or recognition can ever offer. You become a person of substance, not just a person of image. The goal was never to become somebody in the eyes of the world. It was always about becoming yourself, to yourself. The superpower of being a nobody is the ultimate permission slip to live authentically. It's not about hiding from the world, but about being so grounded within yourself that you no longer need the world's applause to feel real. You provide your own light. I have a question for you. What is one thing you would do, learn, or create if you knew with absolute certainty that no one else would ever see it? Share your thoughts below. If this idea gave you a sense of relief, consider subscribing. We'll explore more paths to a quieter, more intentional life.